I'm STEMilyK, your hostess to the world of STEM, and today I'm here with Miss Cadena. So, first, I just want to talk about your background. So, how did you find an interest in STEM? And if you did have an interest in STEM when you were younger, if there was a particular area that interest lied?
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be on your show. I did not grow up with an interest in STEM. People talk about growing up taking apart toasters and lawnmowers, and that was certainly not me.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I was in a math, science, magnet program, I didn't know what engineering was and didn't know about a lot of the potential careers in STEM. And for me, the path was opened by an alum from my high school who had gone off to MIT
Wow.
and was coming back to campus to recruit other students. So he came to my high school, pulled students out of class, and said, listen, here's my story. I grew up around the corner. My dad's a janitor, and he's been a janitor for 20 years. And yet I'm at MIT, and I'm studying engineering, and I'm at one of the best institutions in this country. And it wasn't until I heard a very relatable story from a very relatable human being that I connected the dots and that I thought, wow, that sounds really, really cool. I want to be like him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took the opportunity. I applied to MIT and I was admitted. And I followed in his footsteps for many, many years until I think I learned enough to create my own path.
So, what did you end up majoring in at MIT, and could you talk about how your education led you to some of the career paths that you had and ultimately to what you're doing today?
Yeah, so I majored in mechanical engineering. I worked at the Boeing company for several years as an intern every summer break. And then when I graduated, I went back to work for the Boeing company. I spent 6 years doing satellite testing, integration and testing, which means the satellites that go up in space for radio, for direct TV. I was responsible for testing different components and the satellite as a whole. And then I moved to Seattle. This was all in Southern California. And then I moved to Seattle and I got to work on airplanes like the Boeing 777 and the Boeing 787. And again, I was working in assembly at the final stages where the airplane is all fully put together and you're building a lot of the internal systems. Then I went to business school and I got a master's in engineering. And after that, I again went back to Boeing for a couple of years. I then co-founded an organization called the Latinas in STEM Foundation. And that was a nonprofit intended to inspire young women to think about careers in STEM. And ran that organization for 3 years. And then I joined my partner in creating Make in LA. And Make in LA is an early stage hardware accelerator and a venture fund out of Los Angeles. And we operate a lot like Shark Tank. So we find companies building really cool products around the country and actually around the world, and we invest in those teams. So we give them an opportunity to be successful. We give them money, mentorship, introductions, and we help them grow their businesses. And that's what I've been working on for the last 2.5 years.
So could you talk about more what your day-to-day job is like working with Make in LA?
Yeah, it's really incredible. 1 or 2 times a year, we run these accelerator program cohorts. And it means that we take these entrepreneurs from wherever they live, they come to Los Angeles, and they work out of our space. And they get to interact with us and interact with our network of mentors. And so on any given day, I could be in the office working hands-on with one of these portfolio founders, diving deep into their strategy for manufacturing, for marketing, for sales. Maybe we're critiquing their pitch. So they're going through their pitch deck and we are giving them feedback. Maybe we have an event where we bring mentors in. So we are facilitating these introductions because we know that we can't do everything ourselves to help them. And so we have a pretty great and plentiful network of resources that we leverage to bring in to help our teams. So it could be working hands-on with a founder, working with one of our partners, a networking event with other investors or other entrepreneurs. Maybe it's meeting with an investor and talking about our fund and the opportunity we offer to invest in companies. So, and then I do a lot in the community. So it could also be a board meeting for the new charter school I'm on the board of, or the housing authority here in Los Angeles. So there are a few activities I do outside of work, which also consume time, but are really fun and exciting for me to be a part of personally.
So, with all of your experience, what is something that you've had to overcome, a challenge, or maybe a success that you're specifically proud of?
Yeah, the biggest challenge I've overcome to date, I can think of two. The first one was when I was 17, I became a teen mom.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a daughter in high school, and when I was thinking about college, I not only had to think about what I wanted to major in and where I might want to go to college, but I had to think about how I was going to navigate that situation with my daughter. And as a first generation college grad, I didn't have my parents to lean on. And not only did I not have my parents to lean on, but my parents were also a liability for me, which meant that they still required my support. And so if I was going to be far away from my family, that was yet another thing I had to think about and consider. That was the biggest challenge. And I think that what got me through that challenge was really finding a way to think big picture and to daily motivate myself to work on a goal that was 4 years away, maybe farther away, and that's really hard to do. Right? It's much easier to concentrate on a goal that you can achieve in a day, in a week, in a month. And so for me, it was a constant reminder that I wanted my life to be different. And in order for my life to be different, I had to do different things. And so that fueled me to work hard each and every day for the 4 years it took for me to get to college. And I tell people that I focused on 1 week at a time. And I always told myself, if I can be successful this week, I'll be okay. And then the next week would come, and sure enough, it would be even more horrible than the last week. And again, I would say, if I can get through this week, I'll be okay. And so taking a really big challenge and breaking it up into 1 week increments was essential, a lifesaver. I think the only way I got through school.
Yeah.
The second challenge was leaving my corporate job to start a company. Right? Leaving a really good job that had stability and a great income to do something that was really scary. I didn't know that I could be successful running my own company, and with my daughter being in high school, it was a very scary time financially. And so I think I leaned on that muscle memory of doing something really scary when I was younger, and I was able to convince myself to do it again, to do something scary and push my boundary. And in those first couple of weeks, I had to remind myself that I'm smart and I can do this. Right? It was kind of that mirror, that pep talk that I had to give myself. Like, yes, you can do this. Go out there. You can make it happen. You're strong enough. You're smart enough. You have the network. You're capable. And so those are the two biggest challenges I dealt with today. One was around, more logistics than anything, and the other was mindset.
So, going off of that, a big topic usually, and something that maybe deters girls from going into STEM is, STEM jobs are very demanding, and a lot of girls have dreams of having families and, what society tells girls their lives should look like. So, what advice do you have for girls to tell them you can do both? You can be a mother and whatever goals you have that you want to achieve outside of your STEM career and also pursue STEM and be successful.
Yeah, I think I've seen a culture change in both the corporate world and the startup world.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at Boeing, a lot of the female mentors I had were older. A lot of the female mentors I had were older women who had chosen not to have children.
Mm-hmm.
And I, in the 10 years I was there, the mentors I selected tended to change. The people I started to admire more and more were the people who were able to balance family and
Yeah.
work, because that was my situation as well. So my advice to young girls is that you always craft your own path, that
Yeah.
you never get it 100% right in terms of balance. And so when I am talking to friends who are trying to go back to work, or having a hard time accepting their level of separation between work and home,
Mm-hmm.
I encourage them to think about, to zoom out and to think about what I call a longer period of performance. So if you judge yourself by what happens in 1 week, then you're setting yourself up to fail, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you could have a really bad week. But if you can zoom out and judge yourself on a month, let's
Yeah.
say a month. I think a month is a really good period. And maybe 1 week there's something going on at work, and you have to lean toward work. But the next week you can be a little more flexible, and you can lean into what's happening at home. And then you can take a couple of days to hang out with friends and maybe family. Um, Overall, throughout that month, you can achieve a balance that
Yeah.
is much more stable and reasonable than it would have been at the week level. So, yeah, I guess my advice would be it's doable. A lot of women do it, and they do an amazing job. And every situation is different and requires different arrangements. And so the best advice is zoom out, consider balance on a monthly basis and not a daily or weekly basis. So give yourself time to adjust.
Mm-hmm. So, for any girl who says that they're not interested in STEM because they think it's boring, or they don't think they're capable of it, or they didn't learn enough in high school, they don't have the background, what would your response be to that?
It's definitely not boring. I've had the chance to work on satellites that go up in space,
So
walk
cool.
under airplanes, climb on airplanes, be out in the middle of the ocean on in front of a computer,
Mm-hmm.
saying yes, we're a go for launch. We're hitting the button, and then we're all running outside to see the rocket go up in
That's
space.
crazy.
And then now my job is to travel around the country and meet really, really smart people and try to help them be successful in building products like high heels, products like STEM toys, products like wearables that keep workers safe. Um, these are all companies we've invested in. People trying to make an impact in the world. There's another company we just invested in recently that is building power solutions for people who live on less than $4 a day.
Wow.
So these are companies that are really impacting the world,
Mm-hmm.
and we get to help them. We get to give them a little nudge, and that's my job. And I find that super amazing, super interesting, and I think a lot of people who say that don't have enough exposure to what these jobs
Yeah.
are, which is why what you're doing is so freaking awesome.
What is something in the STEM fields currently that excites you?
Um, Diversity. So, what excites me in STEM is that as more and more women and more people of color and underrepresented individuals become educated and enter these fields, we see more and more diversity in products. For
Mm-hmm.
example, several years ago, MIT hosted the breast pump hack. So they had a bunch of people try to take the breast pump and reinvent it, and the winning team was a team of women. And so that was the beginning of a lot of women's health and women targeted products
Mm-hmm.
that started to come out into the marketplace. So the idea that, these products are by women for women was like, oh my God, who would have
Mm-hmm.
thought? Who would have thought women should be designing tampons and panty liners and, breast pumps? And so it's almost like a silly, light bulb. But as more and more women, step into these roles, I'm excited about the products they're building, um, the way they are serving other women, and the same for underrepresented population. There are a lot of challenges, and they're bringing fresh perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really exciting to see. So
Well,
anything that is
yeah.
by the community for the community is I think super exciting for me.
Well, I want to thank you so much for giving up your time and doing an interview with us for the benefit of girls everywhere. And again, I'm STEMilyK, your hostess to the world of STEM. Bye!